This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, so true. It's so true that sometimes I don't even have a clue that things are so true. Anyways, how are you? Because, today's that day. Today is Wednesday, November the 22nd of 2022. Day 326 of the year, which means we have a 3 in front of that 9 because there's only 39 days left to go. I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods. Because listen, if you did not notice, and that's perfectly fine if you didn't, I was a no-show yesterday. Yes, I say a show of no because I showed no whatsoever. We can go into the tunnel of view if you'd like, for we can have that discussion, or we can just proceed on and say, hey, we are here today. But let's just put it to you this way. Minor cluster, things occurred, couldn't get on the air. That's how it goes. Trying to keep it real. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and we are hanging out our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes, hanging out with Radio Big all across the multiverse. So there you go, there you go, there you go. That's kind of the way that it goes from time to time. So, yeah. So, with that being said, let's get into some things that are going on. If you're not familiar with the show, we are a show that talks about safety and the news and safety. We have some professional broadcasters that come in and tell you everything that's going on inside of the world of the news because, hey, that's what they do. At least that's what I'm told that they do. So we'll get through all that information with you. Also, if you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process. All you have to do is go to Call In Radio. That's radio.com. That's callinradio.com. We'll get everything moving and grooving for you. So, simple enough. Get it moving, get it grooving, get it your general direction. I like the idea. What do you think? So, once you get into call-in radio, text messaging, audio messaging, video messaging, it's all there for you. So, let me ask the question. Is today the escape day? Is today the day that you're at work where it's the potluck, it's the bring stuff to work day because we're thankful? You know, it's kind of that day of work where it's not really a day of work. You're just kind of hanging out, doing your pre-Thanksgiving stuff, but just with your work people. I mean, if that's the case, I get it. So are you trying to escape early? I remember when I used to work in corporate America, it would probably be right around noon or 1 o'clock. I'm out. I'm out like a trout because, hey, listen, there's not much going on at the workplace. Now, if that's not the case and you have a full workload today, well, welcome to working for yourself. I mean, I'm joking, but welcome to how it goes. And then, it's the long weekend, depending on what kind of work you do. That's the other fun part about the whole thing as well. So there you go. So today will be the last day of the week that we'll be broadcasting live from this joint. I won't be here on tomorrow or Friday, as you can already imagine. So we will be returning on Monday. And then we get to play catch up with everything else on when we get back to Monday, because that's normally how it goes. So expect long traffic and all that kind of fun stuff, because that's just normally what happens during this time, especially if you're trying to head out somewhere today. Anyways, without me boring you too much with all that stuff, why don't we start talking right away about what the hell was trending?
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so if I look at the trends of the ends, it goes something like this. Elon makes good on his lawsuit threat and another major crypto bust. We'll get into that as we get into the shit list. Taylor Swift didn't let the broken heel get her down, and Todd Chrisley will soon spend his first Thanksgiving behind bars. We'll talk about that. Kevin Hart is using his love of sports in a new show on ESPN, and NBC is ready to bring back a scripted show. We'll talk about that. Also, King Charles hosted South Korea's presidents and some others for royal dinner this week. So we'll get into all of that fun stuff as we do. So there you go. Anyway, so today I have Mark Mayfield waiting out there in the wings, ready to go, ready to tell you what the hell's going on, ready to discuss this lovely platform that we discussed. It's called News. So you don't have to worry too much about doing anything, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to discuss it all with you on what exactly is going on. So if you're ready, I'm ready, and we can get into the news right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. A deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas to release hostages. Brian Shook reports.
Israel's cabinet approved the deal Tuesday night, according to NBC News. There's still a 24-hour period where the families of victims of Hamas could appeal to the Supreme Court. The deal would include a multi-day ceasefire and the release of 50 women and children held by Hamas. Israel would release roughly 150 Palestinian women and children prisoners as part of the deal. I'm Brian Shook.
President Biden is reacting after the deal between Israel and Hamas to release hostages was agreed to. Biden said on X that he welcomes the deal, adding it will bring home more American hostages. Israel's cabinet approved the deal Tuesday night. The U.S. Supreme Court is rejecting an appeal by the former Minneapolis police officer who killed George Floyd. Lisa Taylor has more.
That means Derek Chauvin's second-degree murder conviction and sentence will be upheld. Chauvin's legal team tried to argue that he was denied a fair trial due to prejudice and publicity around the case. The now 47-year-old is currently serving a 21-year sentence in Arizona. I'm Lisa Taylor.
The minutes from the Federal Reserve's last meeting give no indication of possible rate cuts. The summary of the two-day meeting held October 31st and November 1st, released on Tuesday, show officials remain concerned that inflation could still increase. They said the monetary policy will need to remain restrictive in order to get inflation down to the Fed's goal of 2%. Following the end of the meeting, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said, "The fact is, the committee is not thinking about rate cuts right now at all." And hospitality unions in Las Vegas have ratified a new contract with MGM. The Culinary Workers Union said on Tuesday that thousands of union members employed by MGM Resorts had voted by 99% to ratify a new 5-year contract. On Monday, thousands of culinary union members at Caesars Palace also voted overwhelmingly to ratify a new contract. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Israel and Hamas have agreed a deal to release 50 hostages being held in Gaza and a 4-day pause in fighting. Co-founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, will return as boss days after being sacked. Leaders of the G20 group are holding a virtual session on issues specific to the developing world, as well as new emerging challenges, and South Korea is suspending a military agreement with North Korea in retaliation for Pyongyang firing a rocket.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
Congressional leaders continue to fight over aid to Israel and Ukraine with the goal of getting something done before Christmas. Texas Republican Mike McCall praised the House GOP leadership for keeping the government open.
This will happen, and I applaud Speaker Johnson for getting this two-stage CR accomplished to then give him and us time to move this emergency supplemental bill forward.
But he says border security is a must if there's going to be any deal on humanitarian aid. A new poll shows Donald Trump continues to slightly lead President Biden in the race for the White House. The Harvard Capps-Harris poll shows Trump receiving 48% support among respondents compared to Biden's 41%. 11% of respondents said they were unsure who to vote for. Trump gained 2 percentage points since a similar survey conducted in October. Recent polls have shown Trump outperforming Biden in a handful of the critical battleground states. Everyone loves first responders, but not at Thanksgiving dinner. According to the National Fire Protection Association, Thanksgiving Day is by far the leading day of the year for home cooking fires.
There are more than 3 times as many home cooking fires on Thanksgiving Day than a typical day of the year. That's a 297% increase over the daily average.
Susan McKelvey with the NFPA says it's easy to lose track of what's on the stove or in the oven. She recommends never leaving the kitchen while cooking on the stovetop, keeping things that can catch fire away from the cooking area, and avoid using turkey fryers. A lower price at the pump is giving Americans something to be grateful for this Thanksgiving. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon of regular gas is about $3.31, 25 cents less than a month ago, and 36 cents less than a year ago. And actress Susan Sarandon has been dropped by her Hollywood talent agency. Page 6 reports the 77-year-old Oscar winner was dumped by UTA following an anti-Jewish rant at a pro-Palestinian rally in New York City. At a rally last week, Sarandon said, "There are a lot of people afraid of being Jewish at this time and are getting a taste of what it feels like to be a Muslim in this country." Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves. Only on Safety FM.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring Safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Yeah, rated something, that's for sure. I don't know what it is, but that's something that goes on around here. Anyways, 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Wednesday. Yeah, it's that Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but you kind of just look at it and go, well, what the hell's going on? Who knows? Anyway, so let's talk about this crypto trading firm. Binance has been slapped with a $4.3 billion in fines, and its founder, CZ, will personally pay $50 million in fines to settle charges for money laundering brought to the Department of Justice. A statement from the company noted that the fines acknowledges our company responsibility for historical criminal compliance violation and allow our company to turn the page and challenging yet transformative chapter of learning and growth. CZ will step down from his role as part of the arrangement, and this is according to the news, of course. What's going on? So worth noting is that cryptocurrency remains largely unregulated, and government agencies around the world are working to use existing securities laws to rein it in. Also worth noting, El Salvador is the only country in the world that uses Bitcoin as a legal tender since 2021. It also worth noting, disgraced crypto mogul Sam Bankman-Fried worked aggressively to broker a buyout of FTX with Binance and CZ in the days and even hours before FTX fraud finally became public. Hey, I'm just telling you how I get it. That's the information on how it comes across. So there you go. Some stuff to think about. Hey, listen, I don't make the news. I write the news. You know what I'm saying? You know, I just kind of just give you the info on how it's actually found. We have people that sit around here. That's what they do. They go through the findings of everything that they can, for we can bring you this great quality show in regards of what the hell's going on inside of the world. Some people get pissed off that I talk so much about the news, but I think it's so important for us to discuss. If you would have told me this years ago that this is what we would be doing, you probably would have been surprised that I would have been like, you're off your rocker.
Duh.
So there you go. Anyways, X has filed a lawsuit against Media Matters that Elon Musk promised late last week. The suit centers Media Matters' manipulation of the platform to accuse it of showing ads alongside racist content in terms of profiting off of hate speech. Media Matter reports last week forced multiple major companies to pull their advertising spend. According to X suit, here's what happened. Reporters at Media Matters used accounts to only follow a small number of other accounts known to share problematic content. And then they only followed a handful of accounts belonging to major advertisers. Finally, they refreshed over and over and over and over again until ads with these companies showed up alongside with the content. The only people who saw these ads next to the incendiary post were the reporters themselves. In other words, Media Matters created a highly unrealistic scenario to squeeze the platform owned by a man that they hate to pressure advertisers to stop spending their money here. The suit seeking a jury trial for interference with contract, business disparagement, and interference with economic advantage. So there you go. I mean, what do you think here? But here's the thing. Okay, so let's talk about that, because there's a number of things that happened here, keeping into context what allegedly Media Matters did. So how unrealistic is the scenario? I'm just wanting to have a better understanding of it, because listen, I'm sure what I follow on X, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it, compared to what you follow is going to be different. And I'm not saying that you're following hate speech or I'm following hate speech, but I want to understand what are the possibilities, just to kind of understand it, because it just seems like a total cluster, just overall. But then again, that's an opinion, and that's how those things go from time to time.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, more than 55 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles for Thanksgiving this weekend, many by air. The Transportation Security Administration expects to screen about 5.5 million passengers between Tuesday and Wednesday this week. A majority of those travelers, 2.9 million, will return home on Sunday. Meanwhile, East Coast storms will likely complicate travel plans with up to 7 inches of that are expected in New England. So there you go. If you're in that section, well, that might be something kind of surprising to you. Anyways, the average millennial won't be giving thanks to his or her salary tomorrow. A study by the financial services firm Empowerers shows that the average millennial American desires an annual salary of $525,947 to be content. That's more than 4 times the income of the baby boomer says that they need to be happy, which is $124,000. And Gen X was much closer in line to $130,000. Worth noting, the median American income is $74,000. Meanwhile, 67% overall say that inflation has outgrown their income, with about 42% saying that their standard of living is declining. So there you go. So let's see, $525,947. Sounds good. Sounds like a deal. I mean, I guess, if you kind of put it into that factor. Anyways, the identity of Banksy, one of the arts world's most iconic UK-based street artists, may have been revealed in a recent On Earth BBC interview from 2003. In the unheard part of the interview, which was edited for a spot of BBC Radio, Banksy is asked by arts correspondent Nigel Wrench if his name is Robert Banks, to which he replies, "It's Robbie." Several other artists have been identified as Banksy over the past 2 decades, including Robert Del Naja, co-founder of Massive Attack, Jamie Hewlett, co-creator of the band Gorillaz, and Robin Gunningham, who got into some legal trouble over the murals. So there you go. Who knows? So let's see. Poll results. Let's see. On Monday, after the bizarre report that 1 in 4 party hosts expect guests to arrive early to help clean up, we asked you what you think. Here's the good news. Not a single person thought that it was a normal expectation. So there you go. There you go. Do we want to talk about Guns N' Roses? Is this a show for it, or do we want to wait till hour 2? Yeah, let's do it now. Guns N' Roses drummer Frank Ferrer has filed for divorce from his wife, Magdalena Malika, after 16 months of marriage. According to the court filing, he cited irreconcilable differences as the reason of the split. Also, the date of separation is listed as September 30th of 2023. So there you go. There's some Guns N' Roses information, but probably not what exactly you expected. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, it is 22 minutes past the top of the hour. I have some Erin Royale waiting over here. Let her tell you a little bit about Money Matters.
More American voters support funding for security along the U.S. southern border than for foreign conflicts. That's according to an NBC News national poll that found 74% of voters supported more funding for security at the U.S.-Mexico border. Meanwhile, 58% supported more funding for humanitarian aid to Gaza, while 55% backed more military aid funding for Israel. The poll also found that 55% of voters support more funding for Ukraine military aid. A Senate panel has issued a subpoena to Live Nation and Ticketmaster for documents related to ticket prices and fees. Silvana Anau reports.
Ticketmaster came under fire last year following the botched ticket sales for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. The subpoena from the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations would require Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster, to turn over documents and communications related to ticket prices, financial data regarding fees, the ticket resale business, and its relationship with artists and venues.
Sales of previously owned homes fell to their lowest level in 13 years in October. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales declined 4% last month to an annual rate of fewer than 3.8 million units. The group's chief economist said high mortgage rates and the lack of inventory kept many prospective buyers on the sidelines. The median price of a home sold in October was just over $394,000. Congressional leaders continue to fight over aid to Israel and Ukraine with a goal to get something done before Christmas.
This will happen, and I applaud Speaker Johnson for getting this 2-stage CR accomplished to then give him and us time to move this emergency supplemental bill forward.
Texas Republican Mike McCall praised House GOP leadership for keeping the government open, but he says border security is a must if there's there's going to be any deal on humanitarian aid. Consumer and business news, Aaron Real, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, for that information right there. Let me tell you a little bit of what I was able to locate. The Dow lost about 62 points to close at 35,088 on Tuesday. The S&P lost about 9 points to close at 4,538. And the NASDAQ lost about 84 points to close at 14,199. West Texas Intermediate closed at $77 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $82 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.29 on Tuesday. Bitcoin tanked following the DOJ announcement about Beyonce on Tuesday, down about 3.2%, trading just around 36,275. There was more than 3,770 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Tuesday, and more than 60 cancellation. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $313 million jackpot, or $144 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you have the opportunity to do so. So there you go. Some information right there going on. Anyways, an investigation is underway after human remains were found in the backyard of a home in North Hills in Los Angeles. Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton says the remains are that of a man who was murdered.
Someone did this and thought they were going to get away with it. I can't tell you what time period this occurred within the last 5 months, but at some point, someone thought they could murder someone and hide the body.
The victim was reported missing in June. The remains, while they were excavated on Tuesday, were found under a storage shed near a pool house. A 48-year-old man has been arrested in suspicion of the murder and is being held on a $2 million bail. Hamilton says that the detectives know the motive of the murder but can't reveal it at this time.
We feel comfortable that we have the right person in custody and that there is no further danger to the North Hills community here in Los Angeles.
You know, I have to say something. I feel comfortable should not probably be any kind of remark when you found a body of the dead. Just a thought process there. Just saying, buddy. Anyways, the president is paying tribute to Georgia's first lady. Rebecca Hughes has more.
President Biden is ordering flags to be flown at half-staff to honor former First Lady Rosalind Carter. The wife of former President Jimmy Carter passed away Sunday at the age of 96. Flags of U.S. government buildings and military bases will be flown at half-staff from Saturday until sunset Wednesday, the day Rosalind Carter will be laid to rest in Plains. In his proclamation, Biden said the former First Lady exemplified hope, warmth, and a steadfast commitment. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for that information right there. Let's talk about this. A single-engine plane crashed into a strip shopping center in Plano, Texas last night.
Thankfully, the plane did not actually land on or collide with anything. However, the fire resulting from the crash did involve an unoccupied parked vehicle.
Daniel Daly with the Plano Fire and Rescue says that the pilot died in the crash, but luckily no one at the shopping center was hurt. The crash happened less than a half a mile from Air Park Dallas Airport. Investigations with the National Transportation Safety Board will be happening. Daniel Daly also says the investigation is just now getting underway.
The FAA and the NTSB are both en route to the scene, and they will be handling all of the investigation as to the cause of the crash and anything resulting from that.
I mean, I have to tell you, it's kind of a weird comment to say, hey, some dude died that was the pilot, but luckily nobody else died. I mean, think about that. I mean, it's not luck that anyone died. I mean, or am I off today? I mean, maybe it's an off day for me. Who knows? I have never heard anybody use that expression. Luckily only one person died. I mean, it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one to say.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, this one's coming out of the Bronx. There are puppies theft loose in the Bronx. Andrew Whitman has the case.
It's the kind of crime you'd normally associate with a cartoon villain. Someone snuck into a Crotona Park apartment and stole an entire litter of 6 teacup poodle puppies out from under their mother. The owner thinks it was someone who had their keys November 10th, that someone heard about the pups and wanted them, so they stole her keys and took them. The mini fluffballs were 4 weeks old at the time and need their shots, not to mention their mother. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Did they refer to them as fluff balls? That's what it sounded like to me. Yeah, that somebody needed the fluff balls, So there you go. Anyways, federal agents take a 24-year-old woman into custody. They say that the car that she was driving contained more than $3.5 million in fentanyl pills. Phil Ferrer is reporting from San Diego.
The seizure, part of a joint regional task force called Operation Apollo. That vehicle stop happening 50 miles from downtown San Diego north on Interstate 15 at a checkpoint. Feds say they pulled over the female, discovered 62 bundles containing blue pills concealed inside the door's panels and seats of the car. 81 pounds of drugs. San Diego's Border Patrol sector says they have seized more than 1/2 ton of fentanyl this year. I'm Phil Farrar.
Holy shit, that's a lot of fentanyl that you had right there in a blue pill format. Man, that can get confusing for some. Anyway, 7 years in prison for a man convicted of beating a Jewish man in Times Square in 2021 in a raucous sentencing hearing on Tuesday. Andrew Whitman has more.
23-year-old Mahmoud Musa shouted "Free Palestine" after he was sentenced. One of his supporters calling the judge racist before officers cleared part of the courtroom. Musa's victim, 31-year-old Joseph Borgen, described the pepper spraying and beating he suffered, the anti-Semitic slurs that mob slung at him, and how close he came to death. Musa and another man pleaded guilty. He could have gotten a 15-year maximum sentence. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Andrew Whitman, for that one right there as we are talking. No doubt about that. What else do we have? What else do we have around here? Oh, let's see. What else do we have? I always love when the computer likes to get all weird. Anyways, the suspect charged with the 2021 killing of a 91-year-old Perry Hall man was found guilty for second-degree murder. Norman Albert Jr. says that the closure is impossible, but that he is relieved by the conviction and thankful that Gary Parrish is being held accountable for killing his father.
The only relief is that this guy isn't going to be able to harm anybody else again. He's not going to be able to hurt anybody, destroy people's lives like he did mine.
On Tuesday, the Baltimore County jury convicted Parrish in the death of Norman Albert Sr., whose body was found and police were conducting a welfare check at his home in Hines Road. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence that included Parrish's shoes, which had blood on them that matched the footprints found in the victim's home. Parrish is scheduled to be sentenced in February. Norman Albert Jr. also says that Parrish deserves the maximum penalty for brutally killing his father.
The way he beat my father and beat him, the pictures I saw were horrifying. What he did to my dad.
So there you go. A lot of information going on right there as we are talking. Take a listen to this one real quick. What else do we have? The legislation passed during Colorado's 4-day special session is going to have an impact on just about every resident in the state. Governor Jared Polis signed a package of bills that he said will help rising costs across the board, including a measure to limit property tax increase. It will be done by reducing the residential assessment rate and increasing a portion of the home value not subject to taxes. How much an individual homeowner saves depends on where they live and the value of their home. Lawmakers are making terror refunds equal to every taxpayer, which everyone says will be especially a benefit for renters and low-income owners. Refunds are estimated to be about, $800. Lawmakers are expected to, close this whole deal out relatively shortly here. And it says that the Colorados will earn an income tax credit in an effort supporting the working class, and they are providing $30 million in additional renters assistance to help people stay in their homes. So what do you think? Is it a good, is it bad, or is it indifferent? Well, that's a great question to know, or maybe it's a great question to ask. Anyways, we are at that time right now, so let's do it.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's talk about it because it is the Wednesday before the Thursday, because that's how the days of the week kind of go in sequence. So, what a time. Tomorrow is the day that we get together with either friends or family, or we're actually donating our time at a kitchen. But tomorrow is the day that you're supposed to sit back and talk about the things that you're thankful for, and to give consideration to, how good this year has been, how great life has been to this point, and just to sit back and go, yes, this is what I am saying that I'm thankful for, and so on. So with that being said, is there something that comes to mind? Will you be able to sit down tomorrow, friends, family, and whatsoever, and if you had the opportunity to sit there and say what you're thankful for, can you? I'm just asking the question. Because I think that sometimes we tend to forget what's the purpose of the holiday. We get so hung up in, oh, did Josephine bring the pie? Is the turkey moist enough? Is all this other stuff? And that's not the purpose here. The purpose is to show what you're thankful for, what you're celebrating all together. Listen, I have a hard time sometimes getting to that point because we get lost in the romance of everything else that's going on. And maybe, just maybe, it's that moment also today, if you're doing the Thanksgiving aspect, of maybe you tell the people on what you're thankful for. With your crew, with your team members, with the people that are there with you day in and day out. Here's what people tend to forget sometimes. It appears that we spend so much time at work, at least when we're awake. At least I hope that you're not having, you don't get to do the little sleeper-eeper at work. But think about it. The stuff that we do for work plays such a huge factor, but we spend a good chunk of our time there. So do you ever look at it and go, maybe that's the stuff that I need to talk about with the people that are there? Talk about the stuff that I'm thankful for and them being part of the team. So if you just took one brief moment today and tomorrow and let the people know around you what you're thankful for, how different can life be? Also, an attitude of gratitude can change the way you visualize things. Think about that for a moment. It might take you to places that you might consider extremely different.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, here you go. Currently 42 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out on the Rated R Safety Show. Or as some people call it, hour number one of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. Especially if you're hanging out on the radio big side of the house. Okay, this right here is Silverberg with So Good to Be Alive. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Oh, that's some music for you. Why don't you give it a little streamer-eamer action today? You know what I'm saying? Because you want to give it some stream. That way we can thank Silverberg for being here. It's always a fun time as we do our stuff. It's kind of how it goes. It is the funno of Onos. It's so good to be alive. Take a listen for a moment. Okay, so there you go. Thanks to Silverberg for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. We'll give you some more of it towards the end of the show because that's normally what we do. I know some people have said, why don't you play the whole damn thing at the end? I know I should do it that way, but I'm terrible because I can never time these things out because songs last so long sometimes. At least it seems that way. At least that's what I'm going with. Are you buying? Because I guess I should be buying as well. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I'm going to ever tell you in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. Yep, that's what it's about. So let me tell you about it real quick. No matter what you are looking for, or no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. The people at To Write Love on Her Arms want you to know that people have been where you are now, and healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. That'll get everything moving and grooving for you. To Write Love on Her Arms, TWLOHA.com. Once you get to the website, click on the section that says Find Help. Yes, Find Help. That will get everything moving for you. So what do you think? To Write Love on Her Arms. TWLOHA.com. So there you go. Some stuff to think about, some stuff to consider, and some things to move with. No doubt about that. Anyways, with that being said, let's continue talking about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because we got a lot of stuff, little time to discuss it, because, hey, guess what? We are running out of time. Yep, that's what happens. Why is that so loud back there? You know what I'm saying? So anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Did you ever stop and wonder how many people you know? No, you don't need to. The answer is 611. According to Tyler McCormick, a professor of statistics and sociology department at the University of Washington, that's the estimated at least for the average number of acquaintances that an American has. If that sounds like way too many or not nearly enough, here's the rule of thumb to go by. According to McCormick, to estimate the number of people you know, simply count the Michaels. Here's what he says. There's more than 3 million Americans named Michael, about 1% of the population. If you know 8 Michaels, you probably know about 800 people. Michaels, thank God. For a minute there, I thought you were going to count the Duggars, because if you did, then you kind of know that I was going to be in trouble. Well, did I know a lot of people until I started really to get to know them on Facebook. So there you go. Maybe that's how people determine nowadays how they know someone. You know, it's that whole thing of I know them on social media, so we are friends. So there you go. So as we are getting into the holiday season, let's talk about this, holiday versus vacation. So given the choice, which would you prefer, a traditional holiday season celebrating or a solo vacation? Be honest now, according to a new survey, almost half of us, 45%, would take the suntan lotion and dash. The survey asked about 2,000 Americans about their travel plans, and they found that 63% will be traveling this year, up from 41% last year. But that doesn't mean that they will be traveling to their idea of a perfect getaway. Many will be taking a trip to be with extended family over the holidays. Among those planning a possible vacation, the tropical getaways in small towns tied up to top destination. People would be interested in visiting this holiday season. Both 51%. They were followed by in the order of all-inclusive resorts at 50%, family-friendly destinations at 43%, snowy mountains 43%, would be vacationers said that they'd be willing to spend just over $1,500 for a getaway. Considering how many relatives I have to buy for, I'd probably save cash by taking them on a vacation. And perfect, on Black Friday, I'm shopping for a plane ticket. I guess that's one way to look at it, if you had to take a look at it from that particular fashion. So because we talk about all kinds of weird, let's do a little bit more strange for a moment. Password management services NordPass has released its annual list of the most commonly used website passwords, and a shining list on some of the most disturbing trends among those who just can't seem to be very creative in password choices. Here are the top 10. And if any of them look familiar, let me know. And number 10 was unknown, although most of these passwords can be cracked in a second by cyber criminals that take about 17 minutes to crack one. And number 9 was capital A, minor A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And number 8 was 1, 2, 3. And number 7 was password, down from number 1 last year. Congrats, people. And number 6 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And number 5 was 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 4 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And number 3 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And number 2 was admin. And at the number 1 spot, up from number 2 last year, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there you go. What's wrong, people? I mean, let's just think about that. Also, so NordPass also determined that the internet users in North America are likely to use more generic passwords. Internet users in the UK, on the other hand, opt for more common phrases like Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, or even football. The company advises to use longer passwords that can be a mixed case of character symbols and numeric values. It also says that using the password generators can produce random and complex strings of passwords that cannot be cracked easily. But good luck on duplicating it on another device. So there you go. That's just kind of how it goes from time to time as we are talking about these things. No doubt about that. Take a listen to this real quick. Fires at a homeless camps are on the rise in Colorado Springs. Lieutenant Trevor Leland with the Colorado Springs Fire Department says that they have responded to at least 60 fires this month.
Certainly, that's a lot of responses, and potentially it can take us away from a another emergency like a heart problem or a structure fire.
Did they say a heart problem or a hard problem? I don't know. Dispatch data at CSFD also shows that responded to fires connected to homeless camps 30 times in September, more than 60 times in October. Local firefighters say that it happens more not during the colder months. These fires carry several threats, including wildfires to the homeless themselves, firefighters, and the public. Lieutenant TJ Pop with the CSFD says that they offer information on services that shelters and other better ways to stay warm responding to these types of fire. But the solution hasn't been the simple so far, because people can't be forced to take shelter if they don't want to do so. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. And when you take a listen to this one, volunteers had a long line across the Metro Detroit as they gave out Thanksgiving food yesterday. All-Star Give Back founder Terrence Wheeler and the River Rouge said that they had all sorts of calls.
I get calls from Macomb County, from Ypsilanti. I get calls from Monroe, 45, 50-minute drives because they need food. People are hurting.
Detroit PAL provider 500 families with meals from over all the areas, and grassroots Detroiters handed out around 1,000 corned beef and turkey dinner baskets. Organizers say that the food insecurity is rising as people struggle to pay their bills and feed their families. Lori Gibson showed up at midnight at River Rouge for the Thanksgiving food giveaway to help get supplies to people.
I know a few people who are in need. They either work, don't have cars, so I occasionally come out to the food giveaways to get them something. And I do know for Thanksgiving they're really struggling.
So a lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking, no doubt about that. Take a listen to this. 4 people have been arrested after Michigan State Police rescued 6 women from human trafficking operation in Detroit. Lieutenant Michael Shaw says that they were beaten by the suspects and forced into prostitution.
We had one that wanted immediate medical assistance as well as some services that we could provide to her. Our detectives were able to get that for her, so she was there. The other victims didn't want anything immediate, but they wanted a list of services that were available to get them out of that situation.
All 6 were over 20 years of age from different parts of Michigan and had cash quotas that they had to make. The suspects are being held at the Detroit Detention Center waiting to be arraigned. Michigan State University State Police Lieutenant Michael Shaw says that they rescued 6 women from human trafficking in the situation in Detroit.
They were beaten by these gentlemen. They were not allowed to have cell phones. They were not allowed to have identification. They were kept in this house. They were required to make a certain amount of calls a day. So it was a very, very, very rough life.
Hold on. Did you just say that these gentlemen beat these women? I mean, I don't think you might have the gentleman terminology down correctly. I'm just throwing that out there because what the fuck is wrong with that thing? I mean, just think about that real quick. No doubt about that. Let's get something a little bit happier going on. Let's talk to John Smalls and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. Today's quote was submitted by RC. Bill Cosby said, "A word to the wise is not necessary. It's the stupid ones that need the advice." What a funny quote. And it is true as well. Many people will never learn and grow because they just don't want to. I've been to many seminars and workshops. I've been the speaker at a few. I've been the MC for way more. And I've been an attendee at many as well. One of the things I've noticed about the majority of the attendees that I've met at these events, many of them are already doing pretty well in business. Then why are they attending seminars? Because they're doing so well in business, because they take the time for things like seminars. They're not afraid to invest in themselves. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Belly fat could be linked to early stages of Alzheimer's disease. Brian Shook with more.
A new study found that those in their 40s and 50s with more hidden belly fat had a higher amount of an abnormal protein in the part of the brain where dementia occurs. The study's senior author said men have a higher relationship between belly fat and the brain. The research also showed a relationship between belly fat and brain atrophy, which is important since the brain wasting away is a biomarker of Alzheimer's.
Americans can order more free COVID-19 tests from the government. COVIDtest.gov is offering those who already ordered their 4 free tests from the website earlier this fall an additional 4 tests. Those who haven't ordered any since the website relaunched back in September can order 8 tests. A total of 58 million free tests have already shipped. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Hello. I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. Take a moment and reflect on the past year. For most of us, it was probably a mixed bag. Some good things and some things that weren't so good. At least that's the way it was for me. At this time last year, I was grieving the death of my wife, and I would be for many more months. Yet I was thankful too. In His mercy, the Lord took Brenda home peacefully and with a minimum of suffering, and for that I give thanks. In my grief, the Lord was very near, and for that I give thanks. My family and friends rallied around me, making that dark time not only bearable but blessed. Again, I give thanks. 1 Corinthians 15 says, "But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Okay, thank you for that one. Take a listen to this real quick. Tonight marks the biggest drinking night of the year, also known as Drinksgiving, with most people don't have to work tomorrow and the partying with friends in town in the holiday. AAA's Mark Jenkins says to be smart. Yeah, to be smart. And get a designated driver.
Every year, so many people are killed because of impaired drivers. We don't want you to be a statistic.
Okay, but if you find yourself drunk with your car keys, call AAA Tow to Go program, where you can get yourself and your car towed to a safe location within a 10-mile radius. The service is free, and you don't need to be a AAA member to use it. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says that there's 137 drivers involved in deadly alcohol-related crashes on Thanksgiving Eve since 2017 to 2021. AAA Mark Jenkins says that there's no reason to get behind the wheel if you've been drinking.
We're that last line of defense. If for whatever reason you're tempted to get behind the wheel, don't do it. You can call AAA. We'll dispatch a tow truck out to take the driver and the vehicle to a safe location within a 10-mile radius.
Jenkins says that you can get yourself and your car towed to a safe location within a 10-mile radius.
Unfortunately, every year you hear the horror stories about people being killed in collisions due to an impaired driver. AAA is offering tow to go as that last line of defense.
Okay, we got the last line of defense in there. That is for sure. Thanks for letting us know, AAA, on what's happening. Anyways, back on this date in 2016, the Vegas Golden Knights are revealed as the Las Vegas NHL expansion team. The team owner, Bill Foley, and general manager George McPhee announced the name during a fan event in Toshiba Plaza outside of T-Mobile Arena. They also revealed the logo, a Knight helmet with a V etched in the middle. And the colors are black and gold were outlined. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I'll give you some. Scarlett Johansson turns 39. Michael D. Cohen turns 48. Mark Ruffalo, 56. Richard Kind, 67. And Billie Jean King turns 80. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, it's National Cranberry Relish Day, Go for a Ride Day, National Jukebox Day, National Tie One On Day, and Drinksgiving. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a huge thing, but there you go. Talked about it twice in less than 5 minutes. If you need a random joke for today, here's one. Dance like no one is watching, but text and email like it could be read in court someday. That's probably a good idea. Anyways, if you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is one place that you've been that you'll never visit again? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. Question: stats show that about 5% of divorced people will do this at some point. What is it? Remarry their ex. There you go. Talk about crazy there. Anyways, that's going to be it. Hopefully you have a great Thanksgiving weekend. We will be back on Monday, unless you're going to the top of the hour to hang out with me at Radio Big as I talk about the world of music and entertainment for the next couple hours or so. If not, you can hang out with Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. If I can give you a deep thought for today, I would love to give you this one. Even though you're fed up, you got to keep your head up. Keep that in mind. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.